Hello and welcome to or welcome back to How to Change the World. I am Catherine Alonzo. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here and welcome to the very first Social Shift Short episode. As you may know, we have recently reimagined, rebranded, and relaunched the How to Change the World podcast. And as a part of that, we are going to be introducing different kinds of episodes alongside our long-form interviews with changemakers that we have been bringing to you for multiple years. Our Social Shift or Short episodes will be solo rounds with me, and they are designed to be tangible tricks, lessons, and tips that we are pulling from our work with people making change on the local level on an everyday basis, so that you can learn from them and apply these same lessons to your work. At Javelina, we know that effective change makers tell stories anchored by three things. One, their goals and how success is defined. Number two, why it is that you do what you do. And number three, your target audiences, the people that you are seeking to reach and engage in your work. And everything we do at Javelina is based on that assumption, that effective change makers take those three things, your goals, why you do what you do, and your target audiences. They tell stories that are driven by those three things, and that helps them create lasting change on the local level. And so for our first Social Shift Short, what I really want to do is dig into one of these elements, because this is something that I think every single organization can benefit from strengthening, improving within your organization, even if you're at a really good starting point. And that is defining success. So what we're going to be talking about today is the importance of defining success within your organization or your campaign or your project. We're going to talk about why it matters, what it looks like, who should be involved in goal setting at your organization, and how to set or improve goals. So once again, welcome to our very first Social Shift Short. It gets easier each time I say it. Social Shift Short. And let's jump right in. Okay, so let's start off talking about why this even matters. Why does it matter to have clear goals for your organization, for your campaign, for your project? Why does it matter that everybody knows how success is defined? It's pretty simple, really, and that is that to make any progress, it's really important that you know what you are aiming for. I cannot tell you how many times we have been in the onboarding process or even the sales process with a client, and we start to dig into a marketing initiative or a program or a fundraising initiative that they have launched that was not successful. And our first question is, okay, well, what were you hoping for? How was success defined here? And they don't have an answer. It is so important that you have a clear vision for what you're trying to achieve. And I do mean that on a macro level in terms of what your organization wants to create, but I also mean it on quite a granular level too, in terms of how is each project, initiative, program that you are working on, what are the goals for those, and how is success defined for those two? And I think to demonstrate where this came from, I need to tell you a little story about how Javelina started. So we are 12, 13 years old now. And some of you may know that we actually began life as a political consulting firm. Our three founders, myself included, all had political campaign backgrounds. And so we decided to start Javelina, and we were doing general consulting for political races at the federal, state, and local level. And then what happened over time as we were successful and we grew and developed as a company is that other types of clients started coming to us and asking if we could help them out with particular initiatives they had or help them solve particular problems that they were facing. And so we had our first nonprofit clients, we had our first government agency clients, we started working with different kinds of businesses as well as foundations, and really trying to do a similar thing, which was helping these clients advance change, but outside of the political lane that we were very, very used to. And so as we were thinking about how can we service these clients and how can we make sure that we are going to be successful for them, we sat down, the three of us and a couple of other team members who were working with us at the time. And we thought, okay, when we are following a political campaign, what enables us to be successful? And we thought that it was really important that we understand that so we could apply that same winning formula, that same successful proven process that we had been using for our political clients to these new non-political organizational nonprofit business clients and the projects that they were bringing to us. And so we started brainstorming. Okay, well, first of all, we do this. And, first of all, we figure out these things. And what we realized is that the very, very first thing is a very clear goal. Now, the thing is that the vast majority of political campaigns, if not all of them, come with a very clearly defined, pre-baked goal. And that is that your candidate, your issue, your side of the campaign needs to successfully secure more votes than the other side or the other candidate. Or if there's multiple candidates running in a race, your initiative, your candidate needs to secure a plurality of votes or the majority, depending on the laws of the state. And so this very clear definition of success comes with every single political campaign. And that is a huge part of why we were able to be successful for our political candidates and our political clients. And so then we started assessing that and really starting to establish that with our clients who were not running political campaigns, but were running different kinds of initiatives or projects or campaigns in their own right. And so we would start saying to them, how is success defined? What is your equivalent of getting more votes than the other guy? And it proved to be a very, very difficult question for some of them to answer. And what we realized is that a lot of them had started these initiatives, these programs that they were already working on without that clearly defined. And it was a huge part of why they were running into trouble. And so what I want to do is we've established why this is important. It's important to have a clear definition of success, because if you're not sure how success is defined, then you will never know if you have met the goalposts. And so let's now talk about what that looks like. But before we do, let's take a quick break. Hey everyone, Catherine here. If you're listening to this podcast, you are likely seeking to create change. And the key to creating change is bringing your audiences into your story. At Javelina, we work with our clients to develop impactful marketing strategies driven by three vital things: who you're trying to reach, what you're trying to achieve, and the why behind it all. And our marketing strategies help our clients reach more people and drive more impact in their local community. So if you are looking to elevate your impact, head over to javelina.co today to sign up for a free consultation. Let's bring your story to life. Okay, welcome back. So we established before the break that it is incredibly important to have a clear definition of success for everything that you are working on, because if you don't have that, how do you even know whether you're successful? And additionally, it's also really important so that everybody you're working with has a shared definition of success so that you are all rowing in the same direction. So if that's why it matters, what does this really look like? When I say success has to be defined, what do I really mean? Well, I think there's a few different ways this looks, and it can depend on what we're talking about, whether you are defining success for a campaign, a project, or an entire organization. But here are a few things to think about. So what you want is at the end of your initiative, your campaign, or at a certain interval. So let's say you have an organization and you're running programs on an ongoing basis, but every 6 months or every 12 months, you want to be able to assess, were we successful? It must be crystal clear whether you passed the post or not. Did you win? Did you hit the mark? Did you get the bullseye on the dartboard? Whatever analogy that works for you or that you want to use. It must be crystal clear. So for some of you, and in some cases, that's going to be a number. We want to increase our program enrollment by 10%. We want to see 15% more users on our website than last year. We want to raise $1,000 extra dollars. We want to raise $1 million extra dollars. We want to hire 50 new people. We would like to increase efficiency on this project by 10%. Whatever it is, oftentimes a number like that can be really, really helpful. Sometimes it can be difficult to establish success with a number. And quite often what I have seen is an organization will set a numerical goal, but they don't have an easy way of tracking that thing. So they might say, okay, we're going to increase project efficiency by 5% this year, but it is not easy to track project efficiency. That can be a really, really tricky thing. And so if a number for what you're trying to do is difficult, then you can do a yes, no. We invested a certain number of hours in increasing project efficiency. We decreased the amount of hours that go into creating this product. Yes or no? And quite often a yes or no can be very, very helpful. When you are setting these numerical definitions of success, what you want to do is think in 6 months, in 12 months, whatever your timeline is. At the end of that, will I be able to look back and say, yes or no? We were successful, we were not. When you're thinking about this, think back to my analogy of where this all came from for Javelina is from the political campaign. It is very clear the day after Election Day to everybody involved. Was our candidate successful? Yes or no? And that is the clarity that you are looking for when you are setting up the numerical definitions of success for your initiative, for your campaign, for your project. Another definition of success is more a description of how the goal was achieved. And so you have heard the phrase, the ends justifies the means. Our philosophy when it comes to defining success for your initiative, for your campaign, is that the ends and the means are equally important. And so we've just talked about how we define the ends. Now you want to think about how we define the means. And what I mean by that is, how do we want to get this work done? How do we want to move toward success? And what does that look like? More often than not, that is going to be establishing your core values. What are the core values that you're using within your organization, within your project, within your initiative, that this is how we want to get the work done? And it is important to us that in achievement of our goals, that we are prioritizing these things. So for example, Javelina's organizational values are kindness, ownership, growth, support, and excellence. And so when we are thinking, are we being successful in how we're doing the work? We can ask ourselves, are we consistently making decisions in alignment with these values, acting in alignment with these values, and holding each other to the same expectation in terms of upholding these values? Kindness, ownership, growth, support, excellence. And then another thing you want to think about in terms of what does it look like to define success is, what are the key performance indicators, the KPIs that we are tracking along the way in order to know that we are going to be successful? So this is a really important distinction. There is a huge difference between the goal we are trying to get to at the end and the things that we measure along the way to know that we are on track to getting that goal. So back to our example of a political campaign. A political campaign might say, okay, our goal is to get 51% of the vote so that we are successful the day after the election, we are elected. But the numbers they look at along the way to know that they are doing everything they can to secure victory might include the number of dollars raised, the number of voters they contact, the number of dollars put behind TV ads, the number of mail pieces that are sent, the number of dollars invested in digital ads, whatever it might be. These are the different key performance indicators that they track along the way. And you want to define both. Very often what we see is that organizations are tracking all of these things. And so in a marketing context, it might be something like they're tracking website traffic, they're tracking social media following, they're tracking a newsletter open rate, a click rate, the number of people enrolled in the newsletter. But what they're not clear on is that past the post end result. How are we measuring that? That 51% that a candidate might be shooting for. What is all of this driving to? And so to use a business example, perhaps the goal that you're defining is the number of customers that you have. And ultimately, at the end of the year, you want to increase the number of customers you have by 10% year on year. But some of the key performance indicators that you track along the way might include the number of dollars invested in ads, the number of leads you get, perhaps the number of proposals you send. It might even be the number of new products that you launch, depending on the specifics of your business or your organization. But the distinction between those two things is really, really important. How are we defining success at the end? And then what are the KPIs, those key performance indicators that we track along the way? And then what are the values that we are upholding along the way? How are we doing the work? And in terms of defining success, you want to know all three. Okay, so far we have talked about why this matters, why does this even matter? And then what does it look like? What should this look like within your organization? So up next, who is it that contributes to figuring out your definition of success, for setting those goals? This really depends on what it is that you're setting. So if you are setting your high level definition of success, your vision for your entire organization, your entire project, your entire campaign, this is a multi-level, multi-layer, multi-year definition of success. You want to make sure that you are getting input from every group of people involved in your organization. That includes the people you serve, your leadership team, the people doing the work in the organization, your board, if that's relevant. And you don't necessarily need every single one of those people in the room in the conversation, but you do want to make sure that you're getting input from everybody on that high level definition of success. If you are setting things like annual goals, then more often than not, that is going to be led by the leadership of your campaign, the leadership of your organization, the leadership of your project, and potentially you'll get input from other people who contribute to those goals. And then if you are setting a project goal, you will want that to be set by the people not only managing and executing the project, but those leading it as well. And so when you're thinking through who do we involve in setting these goals, you want to ask yourself, what is this? What is the thing that we are setting a goal for? Who is going to be responsible for executing? Who is going to be held accountable for whether we meet this or not? And those are the folks that you definitely want to make sure that you're getting input from as you're developing those goals. And so the last thing I want to touch on is, what do you do next if you don't have this? If you're listening to this and you think, man, there are lots of things that we are doing within our organization where our definition of success is not clear. And if you're not sure about that, here's an easy way to test this. So for every single thing that you are investing time and resources into within your organization, within your campaign, within your project, you want to ask yourself, do we have a clear definition of success? And remember, a clear definition of success is that when you get to the end of your defined time, whether that's after 6 months, it's after a year, it's the end of our project, it's election day, whatever it is, will we easily be able to say, yes, we were successful, or no, we weren't? And if you don't have that, if that is not an easy yes, it means that you have room for improvement in setting very clear definitions of success within your work. And so if that is where you're at, if you're thinking, oh man, project A or campaign B, when I think about it right now, it just got started, it should go for 4 or 5 months. But if I think about it, is it going to be really easy at the end of those 5 months to say whether we've been successful or not? And you're thinking, oh, maybe not. Then here are some things that I would like for you to think about. First of all, get the right people in the room. So these are the people who are either going to be held accountable for this goal, they're going to be involved in executing the goal, or they are going to be leading on the tasks involved in executing and meeting this goal. So get the right people in the room. And then here are the questions to ask yourself in order to define your definition of success or improve it. 1, what needle are we looking to move? What is it that we are trying to actually change here? What will it look like when your movement, your project, your campaign is successful and there's no longer a need for it? How do we know if we're winning? What result would make the time and resources spent on this effort worth it? And then together, you brainstorm those questions, you get a ton of ideas on the whiteboard, and then you think, okay, of these ideas, how are we defining success? And remember, you want to think about 3 different things. What is that magic number that at the end of your campaign, at the end of your effort, you can look back and you can think, yes, we did it, or no, we didn't? What are the key performance indicators that you are tracking along the way to know that you are on the way to being successful? And then how are you doing the work? What are the values you're prioritizing in terms of executing on the work? Okay, so we have gone over a ton, but I really hope that this has been helpful and helps you to start thinking through your definitions of success and how you might be able to improve your projects by increasing intentionality when it comes to whether a goal is associated with every single thing that you're doing within your campaign, within your initiative, within your organization. One thing that I would urge you is that this is incremental. So if you're listening to this and you think, oh man, there's a ton of stuff we're doing that doesn't have a goal or a very clear definition of success, don't go out and try and set a yes/no definition of success for every single thing you're working on. Start with the things where you feel like it would be most helpful and most value add. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And then you can really start to introduce it across the board in all aspects of your organization. And before you know it, it becomes a very, very habitual thing. If you are in that boat, if you're thinking, oh man, there's a lot of stuff we're doing where the definition of success is not clear, I want to urge you to start with your organizational definition of success. If you do not have an organizational goal, and this one is less a number, it's more a vision statement for what you're creating. Javelina has a 10-year vision statement and we update it every 3 years. And that is a very clear, it's half a page long, it's a very clear written vision. And in 10 years, we'll be able to say, yes, we did it, or no, we didn't. And that you want to start there, because every other single goal that you set for every campaign you have, every initiative needs to ladder up to your organizational definition of success first. If you have suggestions for social shift short episodes, I would love to hear them. I really hope that you have enjoyed this very first social shift short episode. I am going to be playing with this format a bit, as with anything, I'm confident I'll get better at it the more I try it. And so what I'd love from you, if there are things that you would love to know how to do, when you think about effective storytelling to make change, think, you know what? I'm really stuck on this thing. I wish somebody could just sit down with me for 20 minutes and walk me through how to do this. I want to hear from you. You can email me at catherine@javelina.co. You can contact us on all of our social media. We're essentially at javelina.co at everything. And I'm really, really eager to hear suggestions from you as to what you want to know about. If you could have a free 20-minute consultation designed for you to hit on the exact problem that you are dealing with or the thing you're stuck on, what would that be? And I'll make it for you. I am so grateful for your time today. Thank you so much for spending it here with me at the How to Change the World podcast. And until next time, when I cannot wait to share another story of change with you, have a great one.